the last one?
This is the last question.
I'd just like to say that people voted for Hitler, and also the thing about wealth is that, yes, it's very true that it's hard to earn wealth, but it's also more true that it's harder to hang on to it once you've earned it. I'd like to ask Dr. Caplan if he believes that the state is responsible for creating wealth and for distributing it, then why didn't some state 300 years ago create a law that said we're going to build everybody cars and give them insulated homes? Or as a matter of fact, why don't third world countries do that today? Just decree a law that says we're going to create all this wealth to distribute. Dr. Vickers asked a question, why do the poor stay poor? And a large hush fell over the crowd. And I would like to say that if there's any amount of freedom in the country, and this is the key, is the amount of freedom in the country, the poor stay poor because they earn it. One thing the socialists never answer is who's going to pay the deficits. And the other point I'd like to mention is that in Canada,
the speaker's questions, they're supposed to be answering yours.
In Canada, we already have lost 50% of our freedom because when you are allowed to be taxed at a rate of 50% on your personal income, money is only a commodity which allows you to buy your freedom.
Okay, let's have the question. Come on.
If you're taxed, then you've lost that amount of freedom.
Let's have the question.
That's it. Thank you. My question was, will Dr. Caplan please explain why states just don't create decree laws that create wealth?
Well, of course, it's Professor Ridpath, who's an economist, and I suppose something about inflation and the false creation of extra money has something to do with it, but that's not the serious answer at all. The serious answer is that Western capitalism grew up through the 17th, 18th, 19th, and much of the 20th century by being able to batten on and feed off the countries you're talking about, you see. They managed to make us rich by making that third world even poorer than it was. And what that... And the real problem, you see, of that third world is it now has no one to exploit as we exploited them. Now, I want to make an offer to this generous and open-minded audience. I want you to send me your names, and I will send you book lists, dozens and dozens of pages long, of books written by very serious people, not necessarily crazy as Jill and I are, who will tell you that what I said is right. And that's a serious offer, and if you write me, I will send you the books, and if you will read it, you will see that I'm right, but you won't write me, and you won't read the books, because you don't want to know anything other than what you believe.
Well, the socialist side, to the bitter end, insists that wealth is achieved by robbery rather than by creation. And the question becomes, where did it originally come from? Now, when they landed on this continent, there were not skyscrapers. There was no wealth. It was completely barren. You cannot possibly hold in your mind the idea that there's a fixed amount of wealth. There's like a dozen eggs or 10 trillion, whatever, and whoever got some got it by taking it out of the common pot, because the overwhelming majority of what we have, everything beyond grabbing a piece of fruit that falls off a tree, had to be created by somebody's thought and effort. To ascribe wealth to exploitation is entirely to deny the crucial fact. Wealth is a product of the human mind. The poor in those countries which are poor and which are endemically poor are so, not because there's anything wrong with them, but because their social system is what ours is becoming. It thwarts, inhibits, and prevents the exercise of the individual, of creativity, of the entrepreneur. And the result is they do an unthinking routine century after century. If you really weren't concerned about the third world and you wanted them to become very wealthy, I would say let American investment go there and you would suddenly see that would be the most humanitarian thing you could do, because that would develop those countries and would spread the wealth around. But if you close them out, if you keep it a preserve of simply the backward and the dictatorial, they're going to be poor forever.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid that's it, or I'm going to lose the panel. I think we've had a good discussion tonight. Lots of thought to chew on and just the right amount of nastiness. I'd like to thank the panelists on your behalf. I'd like to thank the audience for its enthusiasm. And I'd like to say that we mentioned 1984 at the beginning of the discussion. One of the reasons why, I guess, we're not living in 1984 is the type of discussion that we've had tonight. Thank you very much, and I think there are some presentations. I would like to thank Sandy Shaw for giving us this evening.